topics for the 8 things that we think employers should know about PBMs are: 1, talk about drug prices, how from a front end standpoint, they always seem to continually go up, and that's a function of PBMs and pharma, let's be honest. But then 2, industry consolidation really over the last 5 to 8 years and what that's done. 3, raising fees. I think from the traditional PBM marketplace, we're seeing more and more fees being tied to these employer contracts. 4, new layers of cost and opacity. So as we even think the GPOs like Ascent, Zinc, and MSR that have been created, again, just in the last 3 or 4 years, and how those are really hurting this concept of transparency. 5, total manufacturer revenue, which is typically kept by PBMs outside of what is defined as a rebate. 6, the specific drug manufacturer price increases, why those probably are occurring, and some things I think employers should know about that. 7, brand and generic drug definitions, especially as it relates to contract language and how maybe that could help or hurt the overall finances of a specific employer's contract. And then the last one really revolves around the formulary decisions that these employers are having their PBMs make on their behalf that usually drive to a higher cost drug, and then cost the employers more money at the same time. So those are the 8 things that we'll specifically cover. It really kind of starts with the RFP process and how that runs, right? There's always this spreadsheet, and in the spreadsheet, the consultants will say, here's your brand and generic rates for retail 30, retail 90, mail, specialty. And then within those buckets, the way that brand and generic drugs are defined kind of can define the rates and the rebates that go in there. So like there's single source generics. And one of the traditional PBMs that we know in all of their contracts, because a lot of these contracts are publicly available, so we pull them and review them, they define a brand drug as any drug that comes from a single source. Well, okay, single source generic by definition comes from one source. And even though you're getting a 60% discount on those, that PBM can take that 60% discount and then drop it into their brand definition. And so then that makes it easier for them to get that 22 or 25% discount that they put on the spreadsheet. So, it's still lots of games that can be played in the background, even using industry standard definitions. But then other PBMs have what they call their brand generic algorithm. And they say, well, hey, we've got this algorithm on the back end, so just trust us. We put brand and generic drugs where it makes sense because we're, this is our expertise and we're clinically savvy, where really they have the ability to move drugs then for either rebate purposes to say, well, maybe it's a generic for rebate purposes, so I don't have to pay a rebate as a brand. But then over here on this side, I want to consider it, a generic, so that it helps my overall discounts. So there is still a tremendous amount of gamesmanship going into how these definitions are made.